ടെക് ബൈറ്റ്സ് ഉണ്ടോ അതിന് മുന്നേ? ടെക് ബൈറ്റ്സ്. വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറഞ്ഞു അരുൺ ചേട്ടൻ. അരുൺ ചേട്ടൻ.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 114th edition of FIRE Port 80. FIRE Port 80 is a monthly technology session hosted by FIRE since 2013 in association with NASSCOM. The session aims to provide a platform for tech enthusiasts to come together to discuss and analyze the emerging trends in the technology in the IT industry. The endeavor aims to create a community that will enable peer group learning. Before the session, let's start with a few of the latest updates from the tech world. I welcome Michelle for the Tech Byte session.
Okay, so hey everyone, for this month's Tech Bytes, we have a lot of AI and Sam Altman and also electric cars. So, sorry for that. So in this Tech Bytes, we have AI, electric cars, and also Sam Altman. So next slide. So we have OpenAI, which they are giving their voice engine, which enables us to clone someone's voice within just a small time frame of their voice. So, if I am speaking a 30-second conversation of recording a voice of someone for 30 seconds, and I can clone their voice and create their voice for anything. So this actually has been developed in the year 2022, but they have holded it because of the potential for it being used in many malicious purposes. So now it has been released. Now for next we have, no, it is still useful, but people are more aware with for AI, and also the employee at OpenAI also tweeted that if we are actually using our voice for bank authentication, we should probably change it because it's very insecure at this point of time. So this is just an example video of it. Video just outlining the voices. So this is the reference audio, and this is generated by AI. Yes. Uh, Now we have Microsoft and OpenAI investing $100 billion for data centers. So they are actually releasing some supercomputer called Stargate, which I think it can be similar to the Terminator Genesis computer, perhaps. Uh, I don't know. It's set to release in 2028, but let's see and see what the Stargate actually is. So next we have NVIDIA launches Blackwell platform, which reduces the LLM inference cost to up to 25%, 25x. And these are details of it. Powerful chips, transformer engine, NVIDIA RAS engine, secure deconversion engine. If you know, you know. Next. Now we have electric cars. Now Xiaomi is actually releasing an electric car in China, which has, this is specs of it. It can go 0 to 100 kilometers per hour on 5 seconds and 700-kilometer range. So next, and this is a demo of the car. Can you show? Fine. Next, if you don't, video is slow. Fine. Now have Replit teams to compete with GitHub Copilot. So this is actually an IDE based on the browser. So it has all AI features integrated with it. And yeah, it's a currently beta form, but this is actually browser based. So in last tech by I have covered Z, which was also AI based text editor, but it was created in vector form, like how games are created. So that can be run locally on a computer. This is currently run in browser. So next one, we have Pyen, which is other cool, from Kerala product. Yeah. It's a browser window, so it's running inside a browser. It has all the AI features built in ChatGPT-4 and stuff. Now Z is what actually does is that it's a program you can install on your computer, like Visual Studio Code, but it has also AI features on it. So that's the difference between two. Yeah, yeah. It's with more features. That's it. Now we have Pilot. It is actually a competitor to Copilot. So what you can do is actually just create a text file and write all the spec of your project requirements and just run this command and it will create the projects. It will code for you, and also in between it will ask for suggestions or prompts. So next we have, okay, fine. This is AVI, which is very nice. Can you just play the video? It's very good. Did anyone use a Hume? This one? Okay, fine. My father actually found another use case for it. Is he can actually improve his English because of this. I actually have also tried this one, but it is actually when I'm speaking, it doesn't feel like I'm talking to an LLM. Actually, it is also saying I'm not an LLM when I asked it. So this is pretty nice, and uh, empathetic. It's a empathic voice assistant. Means like it will never disagree with you. Let's say you are having conversation with him and say, look, that guy did something stupid, but actually the fault is you. But it will never say it's actually your fault. It is like speaks in front. Mm. Yeah, yeah. No, this will not give you answer like that. It's like it will try to be in your shoes and try to answer it. So like let's say for example, okay, fine. Can I possibly do? Fine. But I did try the normal LLM thing, trying, okay, fine. These are the top 10 torrent websites, for example, this, and I need to block it. Or I tried to jailbreak it, but it is not allowing it to it. And also, it doesn't provide the factual things are not also even worse than ChatGPT. But the empathic voice is actually good because, like, say, for example, say, uh, uh, what do you do? What do you do? So it takes context from that. For example, if I say, oh, what are you doing? So what you are meant to do, like asking the EVI what it does in a two tones. First is it, okay, what do you do? That is taking normal tone, it will now, no, it will fine. Now, what do you do with the strain? It will, find that and it will answer it accordingly. So that's the hum. It will access your emotion through voice. If you want, you can try demo.hume.ai. It's very nice. Next one. Okay, the previous slide, please. Fine. Now there is, I did say the intro Sam Altman, and I didn't mean the OpenAI because there's something which is more fun. Click the site. So this is the residency. So this is actually a very cool, yeah, like a initiative you can say. Yeah, it is actually like Mulan but offline. Okay, so, and which more cool. So can you go about us? Click about us. About us. Fine. So this is their goal. Okay. The residency was born from our frustration with the lack of opportunity available for young ambitious builders. Down. Currently, the smartest and most ambitious youth is sitting in a lecture hall for 4 years, learning information they never use. Down. This is inefficient. Our mission is to enable ambitious youth to positively impact the world. Fine. We are building this. Who's building this? So we have Sam Altman, and these two are the founders over here. So what they're doing is that they are creating a space uh, for 4 months. The people who can come over there and be a community and start building things. So this is actually located in Germany, US, and also one in Bangalore. So if you go down, yeah, 6 locations, 3 in US, one in Germany, one in Bangalore. Fine. Go down. Yeah. See, this is the 200, almost 200 people applied. They have 80 interviews and only 17 after that. So it's really, yeah, apply now. Tell me. So, this is some application of 2024. Yeah.
Just to let you know that that is becoming a new trend, like people coming together of similar interests, staying together and building things. And there will be mentors who will be coming in every week. There will be sessions, and they will be supporting you in to build that. And eventually, you can pitch in front of investors your product, and then there will be investment that can come in. But there is a screening process, shortlisting process for intake. So you have to come up with an idea or some product which you want to build, or as a team. Everything is free. It is actually donations are something that is powering that. If you are really have a cool idea, you can also make it right, because for the first a few cohorts for 2024, they are willing to provide the stake of 2% stake to all the people who are in the initial cohort. So 2% stake will be allotted for that.
So that's it for this month's Tech Bites. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Without further delay, let's enter the main session. Our speakers for the day are Mr. Mufeed BH and Mr. Vivek R. The founder of Lyminal and Stition.AI, Mufeed was a gold medalist at India Skills 2021 Nationals in cybersecurity and an expert in building security products from LLM. After it came out, Mufeed realized that India needed something similar, and within 3 days, he brought Devika AI into existence. Our other speaker, Vivek, is a specialist in sustainable software development. He has helped startups build end-to-end solutions and is currently building AI agents to secure software. The organization he co-founded. Both of them are the architects behind Devika. Without further ado, I welcome Mufeed and Vivek on the floor, and let us all welcome Devika AI to the 114th NASSCOM FAYA opportunity.
Hi everyone. Uh, just to preface this talk, I just want to uh, tell one thing. So yesterday I got a throat infection, and I went to the doctor, and he said, "Do not stress your voice because it will get worse." And that's the reason why I sound like Voldemort. I do not sound like this in real life. So he said, "This session of yours tomorrow, maybe you should reschedule it." That's what my doctor said yesterday. Um, so yeah, with that said, hi, I'm Mufeed. Uh, This is Vivek. We are the co-founders of Stition. So yeah, welcome to Faya Port 80. This session is all about AI co-pilots and how you can use AI, leverage AI to assist you in coding and tasks like that. So yeah. So yeah, we'll start with intros. So first, Vivek will introduce himself.
Um, hello. Yeah. So I'm Vivek. Uh, so, so I'm Vivek. I'm building AI agents to secure software at Stition, and then I'm really passionate about open source. Sorry, I think this is not. Yeah. Okay. So I'm really passionate about building open source software and doing research in distributed systems like networks and security. Like as uh, the intro says, like I consulted with many startups and also worked with the GNOME Foundation on their video editor PTV. And yeah, I'll just
Yeah, so about me, my name is Mufeed. I am the founder of Lyminal. So Lyminal is a micro ISP that I started 2 years ago. It's mainly does consulting company. We basically what we do is that companies reach out to us to legally hack them. So that's the main service. So they will reach out. This is called a white hat pen testing and SaaS, secure code auditing and stuff like that. So they will reach out. They would want to basically hack their infrastructure. So the technical term for that is called red teaming. So that's what I do with Liminal. And I'm also the co-founder of Stition. That's the AI company that I started in January. We're building AI products in the security space. We're calling it the pre-AGI security research company because when AGI comes in, we would be relevant. So until that time, we would be existing. So yeah, and another thing that I'm known for is competitions. I really love participating in competitions. So I was the gold medal winner in World Skills Nationals in India. So World Skills is essentially, so you know about Olympics, right? So Olympics is for sports. World Skills is the vocational skills Olympics. So I was the national medal gold medal winner in cybersecurity. I represented our country at South Korea for the finals, and I was the eighth rank. I scored the eighth rank. And just like that, there's BRICS skills. So BRICS is essentially the 5 countries, so like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. I was the bronze medal winner representing India. So yeah, I participate in a lot of competitions like that. These are called CTFs. So yeah, that's about me. So yeah, so the agenda of this talk. So this talk is mostly we're expecting it to be like an audience interactive session. This slide is just like a visual aid, like it does not really contain a lot of information. We're expecting you to interact with us, like interrupt anytime you want, ask us any questions. If you know about it, we'll talk about that. So that's the main goal behind it because we'll be showing demos of like GitHub Copilot, Cursor, and tools like that. We'll also be introducing to like concepts that you can use, like prompt engineering and stuff like that. So we are expecting you to basically interrupt us, ask questions anytime you want. So yeah, the agenda of the talk is the following. We will start with introducing you to AI tools that you can use to basically incorporate into your coding workflows. Then how you can collaborate with the AI. That we would cover like prompt, how to optimize your prompt to achieve what you want, and then the future trends in AI and coding. So that section is a bit twist. We decided to make it a bit philosophical. We'll get to that. So yeah, and then after that, finally, we will tell you the story about how Devika was born. So we are the creators of Devika and how the story of how that thing unfolds. So yeah, let's start with the. So yeah, the first thing is to introduce you to a bunch of tools that you can use to basically automate coding. So some of the screenshots here, this is the GitHub Copilot website. There's Claude. Claude is the LLM model from Anthropic. The GPT-4 is from OpenAI. There's Cognition. They're the one who developed Devin. So just to familiarize with the audience, how many of you heard about Devin from Cognition AI? Just raise your hand. Yeah, a lot of people. So yeah, that and we'll be showing like Cursor and tools like that. So I'll just go with one by one, just to show you like how to use these tools and what these tools are used for. Um, yeah, so first we can start with Cursor. So how many of you already heard about Cursor? Yeah, so Cursor is essentially like a VS Code fork. So it's VS Code with LLMs built in. So you can use like keyboard shortcuts and ask your code-based questions and stuff like that. So I'll just show you a demo right now how to use it and what that tool is. It essentially is VS Code. So I'll just open. Um, so yeah, this is Cursor. This code base is of this is Devika's code base. So essentially, you have a bunch of features to use LLMs inside VS Code. That's pretty much what it is. Like that's the entire product. So just to show you like an example, if I press like Command L, I can ask questions about the code base. It will open a chat interface and I can ask it any questions, and I can use multiple models as well. So like here you can see the default model is GPT-4. There is Cursor Fast, GPT 3.5, and also Claude 3 Opus. You can also add your own models as well. This is because I'm using Cursor Pro. You need Cursor Pro to use all these models. Otherwise, you would only get like uh, basically limited amount of GPT-4 cores. So just to show you like how it works, hopefully the code base is indexed. I'll just ask like where the state management is. So like I'm gonna ask like, yeah, so I just ask like where in the code base is state management handled. Um, so it's now the agent is now searching through the code base. So what it does behind the scenes, as you can see, it's reading all the files. It essentially indexing and creating embeddings for each files in the code base, and then using a technology called RAG. So RAG is, how many of you heard about RAG? Retrieval Augmented Generation. Yeah, so they're using that to get which files would have the functionality that I asked for. And the question answer model works with BERT models. So BERT models can be used for Q&As essentially. So yeah, it found where the state management is handled. So let's say you have the Linux kernel or like a big code base, and you want to know which file or in which part of the code base something is handled. You can search for it, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to find it. So you can just ask cursor and then, okay, where's this thing handled? Where's this feature implemented? And it will tell you where that is. So it correctly found it. It told me that in the agent state class, state management is handled, and that's the file um, where all of that is handled. So it will give you the code as well. So you can basically ask it to like continue the chat, ask it to implement some changes, ask more questions about it, and stuff like that. So that's how you can chat with the code base using Cursor. And the next feature in Cursor is basically to automate coding. So yeah, so I can press Control K and another prompt will pop up. And here I can basically ask it to rewrite the code or add new code. So we can ask for a new feature here. So let's say the latest. So yeah, I just asked to write a function that can update the latest token usage, and it automatically does it for us. We don't have to write the code. And just like that, this is just how to add new code. We can actually edit code as well. So I can show you how to do that after this one is done. So yeah, the UI is kind of akin to how Git diff works. So if you have used Git diff, you know that when a new code is added, it will show up in green. When a code is deleted, it will show up in red. So I'll show you how to edit the code, and you can kind of see that there. So I'll just show you how to edit the code here. So let's just say I select this function, and I want to add better error handling in here. So I'm just going to ask better error handling. So yeah, you can see it's implementing error handling for this function. So basically, you can essentially just offload like boilerplate works, and actually you can just implement new stuff as well. With Cursor, you don't necessarily have to write code. In the future, this would be scaled up to basically creating whole new code bases just with a single prompt. But at the moment, this is what you can do. So as I told you, the UI is similar to the Git diff. So when a number of that, and then the code would be updated basically. So I click accept, and that's it. There are a bunch of new features as well. So as I said, you can add documentations and stuff like that. So I'll just show you like a simple example. Add docs. So you can add documentation to your prompt automatically. You don't have to copy paste it. It already comes with a default set of documentation for like languages and libraries that are like super popular. And if it doesn't exist, you can add your own. So to add more context to your prompt, let's say like, so GPT-4 only has like a limited set of knowledge. So it has a cutoff date, And let's say you're using a library that came out last month, right? So there is no way GPT-4 already knows that this library exists or how to use that. So you can basically add the documentation to the indexer, and then Cursor would provide that with the prompt. So you would be able to utilize that. And not only that, so one other function that I really like about in Cursor is basically, let's say I'm editing this code, and then I can provide more context from my code base. So if I use the at, it's a command, and then we can reference a file here. So like let's say I add a file, and then it will show up like, okay, browser.py, state.py. So I'm just gonna add like browser.py in the context, and that would be automatically pasted into prompt. So you don't have to do this manually; it will automatically do it for you. So this is the like general overview of how to use Cursor. I would really recommend it. This is my default IDE, and that's the reason why it's basically down there. Like I have pinned it. This is the IDE that I use. Um, so yeah, this was really good. I really recommend using it. And the next one is one that probably all of you are already familiar with. That's basically GitHub Copilot. So how many of you already used GitHub Copilot? Yeah, so GitHub Copilot is the most used AI developer tool because GitHub and the kind of like the first runners in the whole thing. So the way to use GitHub Copilot is pretty simple. There is a bot that you can use for chat models, which I do not find to be pretty good. I find the autocomplete to be pretty good. So I can show you how that works. I integrated the same to Cursor as well. So if I just start writing a function, let's say I say like update something. Yep. So this is how Copilot works. This is the Copilot's response. When I start writing a function or like write a comment, write what I want to do, GitHub Copilot is essentially like an autocomplete agent. It will predict what you are going to write next. So GitHub Copilot also handles like your clipboard, which files you visited recently and stuff like that, and it knows what you're going to do next. So that's what GitHub Copilot does. So when I click like tab, it will autocomplete that. So like any function that you want to do. So like it kind of predicted that the next function that I'm going to write is update step, and it's true because actually I forgot to implement this function in Devika actually. Yeah, so yeah, GitHub Copilot actually just implemented a function that I forgot to add. So yeah, this is good. I will push this to the repo. So yeah, this is the thing. Like AI is getting smarter than us. So yeah, I'm not getting philosophical, but as you can see, this thing is really good. So yeah, that's GitHub Copilot. And which tool that I want to show next? Um, yeah, and one thing that I really want to show you is Claude. So how many of you used Claude from Anthropic? Yeah, so Claude recently released their Claude 3 family of models, and it's better than GPT-4. Claude 3 Opus specifically, Claude 3 Sonnet and Haiku, in our benchmarks, we did not see to be outperforming GPT-4, but Claude 3 Opus is really impressive for two things. One is the context window. So there is 200K context window, which means we can practically just include like a medium-sized code bases into a single prompt. And it is the second reason is that it's not lazy. GPT-4 is like super lazy. Like when you ask it to implement something like a large amount of code, it will just say, write the function, and there will be a comment, implement the rest. Or it will just tell us like implement the logic here. Like the reason why we ask GPT-4 is that we don't want to write it, right? Claude doesn't have that problem. So
I have seen like I don't know how to exactly put name that term. Like there's a graph, like a radial graph, like
hmm,
emotion, then extend rationality. So like if you take like a 8-pointed diagram,
hmm,
graph like that. So there you can see the comparison of different models, like how ChatGPT is working, 3.5 is working, 4 is working, or like even cloud is working. So we can see that kind of model comparison where maybe in one particular area, ChatGPT 4, it may have like a score of 80 above 80 percentage, and in another area it may have only like 60 percentage. But at the same time, another model it can have like a 70 percentage working in that particular. So it's a graph. I don't know what exactly you call that graph, but I have seen it before.
yeah, I think you're talking about like MMLU benchmarks, human eval benchmarks, and stuff like that. So different scores. Yeah.
basically part of the GPT 4 or ChatGPT prompt is that if it exceeds 8,000 tokens or something, kind of reduce it to 2,000 and then brief it.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically when GPT-4 was dropped, initially it was not lazy. Then they RLHF'd it. People in the community call it lobotomization. So lobotomizing the GPT-4 model, like that's what happened. Because when GPT-4 initially dropped, it was really good. Currently the performance is subpar. The reason is like they RLHF'd a lot of like ethical concerns and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. So the API version with the 128K context window, that's pretty good. But the Chat GPT model is like low bottomized. Like I would not recommend using it right now. But Claude 3 doesn't have that problem. They would probably eventually have that when regulations kind of push them to RLHF the model again. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so there are researchers who are documenting the decline of these models. So they kind of found like GPT-4 was like really good performance, then kind of dropped, and the same thing happened for Claude. So it's the same thing. RLHF is the problem, like the problem side behind it. So yeah, for the good time, we can utilize Claude 3 Opus. When it lobotomizes, I don't know, we can wait for GPT-5, I guess. So yeah, that's the um, way to go. And one thing that I want to emphasize is that ChatGPT, most people only use GPT 3.5. So it has been a long time since that dropped, and the disparity of performance between GPT-4 and 3.5 is like huge. Not a lot of people know that. So people kind of use this to write their homeworks and write poems and essay writings and stuff like that. That's fine with 3.5. But if you're doing like coding and stuff like that, GPT-4 is where it's at. Not a lot of people know that because obviously you have to pay $20 per month to use GPT-4. So yeah, I would recommend Claude 3 Opus because it's the same price. You get better deal for that. And one thing is like I literally paste the entire code bases into Claude. I'll show you how to do that. I wrote a tool to do that. I'll get to that soon. So yeah, that was just a short introduction on how to use AI tools for coding. Yeah, and then we can get to prompt optimization. So this is like a really important.
So initially itself, Mufeed mentioned like this is a open interactive sessions, and more questions is what is expected from this. So as he said, mentioned, a lot of people have already started trying Copilot, right? So is there any questions that you have? That is, this is a space to ask dumb questions. Be ready to be ridiculed. So that would
Yeah, interrupt anytime you want. Like ask any questions. That's fine.
a lot of people will have the same questions in mind, but they hesitate to ask. So who has the boldness to come and ask some dumb questions? So when you started using Copilot, what are the issues that you are facing? That if there is anything that you can actually ask. So any of the Copilots which you have used. Anybody has any questions?
Yeah, whenever I was using Copilot, like um, if I'm like doing something, um, uh, the thing that like the Copilot is predicting what's like, for example, if I'm writing code in like in a C in a huge code base, it's predicting based on what is written on that file only. Like it's not getting the whole context of what the project is. So is there any way to do that?
Yeah, so when GitHub Copilot initially launched, that was the case, but currently that's not the case. So GitHub Copilot, so essentially what it does is that let's say you worked on a other file, right? So it's like a sequence kind of thing. So like it will retain a history of like what you were doing previously. Obviously it does not ingest the entire code base. Like that's computationally expensive. They don't do that. So like essentially what it does, like let's say you worked on a file called state.c and then you worked on browser.c or something like that. It will have the state.c context as of now in the current version of GitHub Copilot. It even actually retains content from your clipboard. So like you copy paste something, it will actually have that context as well. So like it's currently getting optimized. Eventually it would get to a point where it can ingest a whole code base. But all of that depends on like a context window, which I'll get to that, which I'll get to it soon in the prompt engineering thing. So yeah, it does not ingest the entire code base, but it does retain history of like which file you're working on. So that's how it works right now. Yeah, within the end of the year, I'm pretty sure like it would ingest the entire code base. Yes, it has like 10 million context window. Claude original model actually has 2 million context window, but the public facing model only has 200K. Um, uh, Towards the end of the year, they will ship probably like 10 million context window. Yeah, so that would be solved. Already solved actually. These companies already internally have all these models. They probably have AGI, I don't know, but they will drop it soon. Yeah. Yeah, the public models will be heavily contested, very heavily contested. But yeah, research labs, probably organizations would have the actual good model, but the ones that we are playing with obviously would be contested. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we wish them to drop torrent links, but they don't do that. Only Mistral does. I haven't tried, but I did see that. Yeah, yeah. That Databricks new LLM, right? Yeah. Uh, I know the game, but I have never played. Yeah. So yeah, I'll just show you like a real world example on how to optimize prompts. So as I said, the Claude model has 200K context window, right? Um, so the one thing that's good about uh, yeah. So this is a tool I wrote. This is a utility that I wrote. It's called code to prompt. So essentially what it does is that you can ingest a full code base into a single prompt, right? And it's written in Rust. It's a CLI utility. It's cross-platform. You can use it any operating system you want. So there are a bunch of templates that I can show you. Yeah, so this code to prompt utility, how does it work, right? It essentially what it does is that let's say you give a directory. This directory is where your code base is held. Um, what it does is that it will copy the entire contents of that source code, each file, each code into a prompt template. So this is a handlebars template. So what it does is that we write like an optimal prompt to achieve what we want. So there are a bunch of inbuilt templates. So this specific template can find potential security vulnerabilities in your code base. So it says like, I want you to carefully review the code in this project and identify any potential security vulnerabilities or weaknesses. Take your time, think step by step. Now, like keywords like this are the most important part here. So like take your time, think step by step, like take a deep breath. Like actually we say that to the LLMs. Like we will say like take a deep breath. Like LLMs cannot take a breath. So LLMs obviously cannot breathe. But when we say that, for some reason the performance improves. Nobody knows why. When you say like the when you say to the LLM that you are a PhD researcher or something like that, the performance improves again. So like you can basically rise the LLM's ego to get more performance essentially, and also like tell it to take your time, think step by step, and like stuff like that. So like that's how we do that, and then consider all the code parts and interactions between different parts of the code base. And so yeah, we will give a bunch of rules on how to do that. So since this template is for finding security vulnerabilities, it essentially asks to document, okay, which line numbers have this vulnerability and which weaknesses to find. So I can show like a live demo on how to use that. So let's say we can find vulnerabilities in Devika maybe on live. So it's my own code base, right? Yeah. Content level? Hmm.
For example, I tried this a while back when I tried like asked for military purposes. Like at that time, it would say like it is not like a social. It is not like it can't give that kind of a response, that kind of answers. But like December or January, I read an article where that rule is now been removed from ChatGPT because of the Pentagon and the U.S. military and those things. I don't know. I didn't do. Like, so, is there any that kind of ethical? Can you find ethical level problems? The code, the code detector, the code.
So this essentially depends on OpenAI and Anthropic or whichever model you're using. We do not have any sort of control over it. Yeah.
Like what you say, like censored and uncensored AI. Okay. So
Local LLMs. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay.
in that perspective, I know that the danger that comes along with someone who have.
Hmm. Yeah.
So how do you manage to? Is there any way we can use the LLM or the code creator to find those kind of vulnerabilities within the code?
Yeah. So that's actually a very good question.
It depends on region wise. Okay. Take India, we will have a separate set of rules that needs to be taken.
Yeah.
US, they
Hmm.
have separate. So is there any way we can do that, like a diplomatic way?
So I think the point that I said still stands. So like in this specific case, we should have the freedom to prompt the LLM anything we want, right? But this is obviously a problem when the model is centralized. So like GPT and Claude and stuff like that. Let's say we can use it for unethical purposes. It should be possible, but what if we, like recently actually, OpenAI did a blog because a lot of military state actors used ChatGPT to do some malicious activity. They used it to write exploits and stuff like that. So they had to ban their user accounts and talk to the government and deal with that. Right? Now the thing is, like local LLMs, there are models that are fine-tuned to basically do malicious things. Like models like that exist, so we can utilize that. But to mm, to do that with like public LLMs, we might have to rely on jailbreaks. So actually, there's one. So this is a paper written by Anthropic, actually 2 days ago. So they discovered some ways to jailbreak the LLM to do things that it cannot do. So like they are, let's have, they did all kind of guardrails to defend against like malicious activities, but they still found ways on how to jailbreak them, right? Right? So like, yeah, at the moment for public models like this, we cannot necessarily use it for everything. It might literally sometimes like if you used a Bing Copilot, it might start the response, then midway you'll be like, sorry, I cannot do that. So like they have real-time filtering for all this stuff. So yeah, if you want to do like really nefarious stuff, like there are fine-tuned local LLMs to do that. Um, but yeah, for public LLMs, we might have to rely on jailbreaks and get our account banned and stuff like that. So like, yeah, that just depends on who's hosting the model and who made the model. So yeah, does that answer your question? Yes. We have a, so at Stition, one of our products is basically defending against it. We are working on, we are researching it at the moment. It will be a product soon. Yes. So we are trying to remove RLHF out of the question. So like they do this prompt injection, all these attacks, they prevent it using RLHF. But this lobotomizes the model, right? But we want to remove RLHF out of the question. So we're working on like small LLMs that are fine-tuned to just like basically prevent attacks. So we will like a middleware, like a small middleware. It can prevent against these attacks and pass it to the original model. So we'll be writing a blog on that like within a few months. We cannot reveal any info on that right now, but yeah, that's the research we are conducting. One of our products.
There are a couple of questions from live.
Yeah.
So Amal Shehu is asking like, is RAG an alternative to fine tuning?
Both are different concepts. So RAG is a retrieval augmented generation. That is such a fancy name. So for essentially putting a string into another string. Yeah. So I don't know what these people like use. Like, okay, I'll get to more details on how it works. So essentially, what you do, let's say you have a bunch of PDFs, like thousands of PDFs. So you want to ask questions to that PDF. Like, obviously, you cannot copy paste the entire like 1,000 PDFs into one single prompt. That's not possible. So what you do is basically create embeddings from this PDF. So you get all the tests from this PDF, create embeddings from that. Essentially, just a set of vectors that you can search from, basically nearest neighbor search and cosine similarity, stuff like that. I'm not getting to the technical details. But yeah, you can store them in a vector database. So this can be Qdrand, VV8, Milvus, stuff like that. You can also self-host it. So at our company, we do not use any of this vector DB. We use SQLite because SQLite is based, and we recommend using SQLite. So yeah, there's a bunch of search algorithms. So KD tree is one of them. Cosine similarity is one of them. So yeah, it's essentially just have a bunch of text and you search similar text. So like you have a sentence and then you search the database for similar sentences. So you only fetch that from the database instead of the entire document, and you can put that into the string. So the string is the prompt. So yeah, retrieval augmented generation is such a fancy name for essentially searching something, putting that string to another string. That's what RAG is. And fine tuning essentially is basically to, on top of a model, you can include more data. So like let's say, so the most prominent use of fine tuning is to create instruct models. So let's say there's an LLM, right? You have an LLM that you can chat to. So you can ask a question, it will tell you what it is. And we want to fine tune that to only respond in JSON format, right? So we can train, we can create a bunch of corpus, like question answer corpus. So like we can ask a question and then the response would be a JSON schema. And then we will train the model with a bunch of examples to that base model. And then it will essentially create a new layer on the base model to respond, basically prioritize the data in that layer. So it would only respond in JSON. So the way that most people fine tune models is called LoRa. So low rank adaptation is what it's called. There is a new algorithm called QLoRa, which is essentially faster. And the most popular one, or currently the most buzzing way to do fine tuning is using Unsloth. So I'll just show you what this Unsloth. Yeah, so Unsloth, we recommended. This is the fine tuning that I have used personally. This is what I rely on because it's super fast. The primitive ways as in this is new algorithm, but yeah, the primitive and the new one difference is basically months. I'm saying primitive like it came out years ago, but yeah. So as and stuff like that, this like the dispatch is few months, but in AGI scale, that's primitive. So this is what we can use. Yeah, so what was I talking about? I was talking about code to prompt, right? Yeah, so I'll just show you how to use this specific prompt to find security vulnerabilities. So obviously I cannot demo that in some other code base, like what if it finds an actual vulnerability that would be illegal, the FBI would show up. So I'm gonna do that in Devika's code base. I wrote the code base, probably there are a lot of vulnerabilities in them. Yeah, so I'm gonna use this template to do that. So yeah, so this is how you use it. So you use code to prompt, that's the command. And I'm going to use this path, the current path. So that would be Devika. Or you can just pass, let's say, SRC, and then templates. Fine, security. Yeah. Template. Uh, yeah, so essentially what it told us, the template that I showed you before, it will create, it will get the code, all of that, and then put that into the template. So you would have like, okay, this is the thing that you should do. So it has the
And then today's takeaway should be like how to use these things and then what are available, and any of those questions that you have should be asked today and get clarified. Because you like, I know that there are a lot of college students here, you are learning different programming languages and all those things. That is, some might be wondering like whether we should learn all those things, or should I learn how to do the prompt better? So all those questions you can ask. Okay. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah, so like as Dibushan said, uh, the thing is like at the moment, I can confidently say that like around 60% of my workflow is basically given to an AI. Like I don't, to, to probably give you like a confession, I'm not a front-end designer, I don't do front-end, I don't do UI. So like half of the UI of Devika was done by Devika. Like I did not create that. And some part of the code base was also written by Devika. It was like, I remember when I released that, it got viral. And people were opening issues on like stack traces of errors. And I look at that, which I know I didn't write that code. And then I check the code base like, that was written by Devika. So like, yeah. So like, yeah, as I said, 60% of my workflow is now offloaded to an AI. Claude 3 Opus is the one that I use. As I said, my bill, I got a bill recently. That was a really good experience. So like this morning, I literally like he saw that I recharged my billing because it was like basically depleted. So yeah, this example. So like let's um, uh, high three digits. Okay, okay. Yeah. So this is the README that was written by. Hold on. Yeah, so we just asked the model to create a README. You don't have to do it yourself. How do you think I wrote the architecture.md and README for Devika? I didn't do that. It's like a lot of people compliment it, like, dude, that's so like detailed and stuff like that. I will actually show that. Hold on. Dude, news comes up first, not Devika. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, this architecture, you see how long this is? You think that I write that? Nah, yeah, look at this. Uh, I didn't write any of this. People are like, oh, this is so detailed. How did you do that? അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ചോദിച്ചാ, okay, yeah. Uh, yeah. See this beautiful readme? I didn't write that. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, a lot of the workflow that I do, like things that are boring, like boilerplate, CRUD apps, and stuff like that. I think it's like the UI is written in Svelte. I have never written Svelte before. The day that I released Devika was the day that I literally wrote Svelte for the first time. So I wrote some boilerplate and asked Devika, like, yeah, I need a settings page, I need whatever. And then I wrote that this is the UI. Uh, like like I have dabbled with like I wanted to say this thing like a rant. So like, I have dabbled with like LVM kernels, like IR, operating systems, browsers, and stuff like that, reverse engineering. Um, Web frameworks were more complicated than that. So that was my first impression of like all this Nets.js. Like Nets.js looks like PHP. Okay, no offense, but yeah. So like that was my first experience with like front end and stuff like that. So yeah, that's so like I would say there are a lot of blogs and how many of you know about who Andrew Ng is? Yeah, so he made probably a lot of people who learned ML, machine learning, knows Andrew Ng. He made kind of like the foundational courses for that. He recently made a course for prompt engineering as well. So yeah, so this is a course in collaboration with OpenAI. Andrew Ng made this course. Like I would, it's free. I would recommend this for if you want to learn how to optimize your prompts, essentially. So you can also learn from the templates in code to prompt on how to like, there are a bunch of them. So like you can, so like solving CTFs, how to clean up code, how to do cryptography, how to security vulnerabilities, write README, and also like write documentations and stuff like that. So like one example that I can show you actually.
And how many non-coders are here? You are thinking like now we can start doing coding. How many of you are here expecting that you can start doing coding? Yeah. So Pradeep, is there any questions from your end? Yeah, yeah.
I see that you have generated a lot of wonderful documentation for Devika, using Devika. And I am not planning to read that. I'll ask Devika to read that. And so
Yeah.
should we, bother with writing documentation, or should we, prompt on the code base itself? What do you think?
So okay, this is a really good timing because that's what I was about to show. Yeah. So this is a library that we wrote. So this is for our product code center. It's written in Rust. So since this is a library, we have to generate documentation for people to use it. So the developers has to read the documentation on how to use that. So essentially what we did, I have another template for writing documentation inside code. I did not write this documentation. So yeah, I'll show you. What is that? This template, document the code. There's a template for every single thing that I'm lazy to do. It's there. So you can use this. So this is the exact template that I used to generate the documentation. And it's so beautiful. Like I'll show you the documentation. Um,
So there is one person here who is actually working on syllabus revision of Director of Technical Education. Okay. So, so she has added Python and all those things in the syllabus right now, and they are about to kick off, and some AI elements. So finally, you have to answer like what should they include in the syllabus for next generation to learn.
So I will get to that in the philosophy part of the talk. Since I told you about that, it's going to be a bit of a rant. Towards the end, I'll tell you all about that. So like what to expect in the future, like what should college students and students learn when it comes to coding in the future, right? So like should we learn coding like for new people and stuff like that? I will get to that in a minute. So like yeah, so this is the documentation generated by an LLM. I did not write it. So like yeah, when developers look at this, they will think like, oh, this library is like really nicely documented, you know, props to the developers. But we did not do that. So like yeah, you can rely on LLMs to do all this boring work, and it would do it better than probably we do. Like there would not be spelling mistakes, there would not be grammatical errors, there would not be stuff like that. So you can rely on that to generate stuff like that. So yeah, the next part. So this is the part where I said I will talk about philosophy, right? So like, what's the future and what can we expect? So I told about all these tools that you can use to automate coding, and I already told like 60% of my workflow is now done by an AI. So like in the future, it's gonna be 80%, 100%. Like, how does it look, right? I can say for certain at the moment with the current state of the art models, CRUD apps, which basically create, read, update, delete apps, so like basic web apps and stuff like that, boilerplate code are already solved. So like if you're writing like simple React, Django web apps and stuff like that, I don't like saying this, it's super dystopian, but that's already solved. That's completely automated. You can use Devika to create apps like that. You can use ChatGPT, Claude to generate apps like that. So that's already solved. Only the logic part is not solved yet. No, the reason why, that's completely up to scaling, scaling the model, right? So, complexity, yeah, complexity of the program. So like, let's say you want to write a physics collision engine, right? In a custom game engine. The current LLMs probably wouldn't be able to do that because like it's a complex task to achieve. It would probably do it for like Godot, Unity, and engines like that because it's in the data set. Yeah. So the one thing that is currently being happening right now is scaling. So like that's the reason why Sam, yes, and the parameters of the model. So like Sam Altman, that's the reason why he's raising $7 trillion. He's gonna make probably get all the sand. 7 trillion. 7 trillion, yes. He's already talking to UAE government to raise that. I don't know, probably because they have a lot of sand. You can use that to generate silicon wafers. I don't know what's the reason. They are rich too, but yeah. Yeah. So there is another company called Edgetropic. So Edgetropic is creating like a new chip to solve this problem. It's kind of theoretical right now. They're using quantum mechanics to create a chip that can do it more efficiently. But all of these are buzzwords, so I'm skeptical of them at the moment. But yeah, well, let's see what happens. So yeah, that's the scaling is the way to go. Scaling is what we're expecting for the model to solve all these complex problems.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Viable to write systems level code that interacts with like the hardware, it's like very low level with AI? Because I've seen a lot of the applications that are more on the lines of web development and a bit more higher level as opposed to like architectural level code. So what do you think is the viability of doing that, since you've written a lot of code with AI? So obviously you've seen the capabilities.
Yeah. So at the moment, using the state-of-the-art models, it can write system-level code, a low-level code, but there is of course limitations to it. So like as the complexity increases, the chances of a model being able to accomplish that task is low. But that will be solved pretty soon. So like GPT-5 or like the next models would be able to do that. So it's simply a question of scaling. So just to get more deep into it, so there's a theory called Chinchilla scaling laws. So Chinchilla is a model by Google. There was an experiment like how far can they scale an LLM model? Like how many parameters and how many tokens can they have, right? And there's a theoretical upper bound to it. But if you scale the model to like an excessive amount of parameters, like GPT-5 would be huge model. They probably would solve like most of the problems. So like yeah, it's a matter of scaling. And then when the upper bound hits, the next question is basically a new architecture. So like currently the transformer architecture is used for LLMs, right? The next frontier of models would, there are a lot of new architectures like Mamba, RWKV, KV. I have hope, personally have hope in RWKV. I think RWKV is probably the successor to transformer model and then stuff like that. So like, yeah, new architecture would be the final question, but initially scaling would probably be able to solve systems level, low level code, complex code bases and stuff like that. And I'll show you one more example actually. Yeah, so DeepMind released a model called AlphaCode, and it was able to solve problems in the commodity programming competitions and achieve like a silver medal performance. So like, you know how complex commodity coding is, right? If we can achieve like a silver medal performance, like it's like that, it's already being solved. So like it's a matter of time.
Like when you go to the hardware level, you have like infinite possibilities of hardware combinations, much like how the Android operating system ecosystem is. So like you have far too many hardware options to actually like combine your code with. So like, is it actually viable to do that, or like scale it up to that level? Because when you have like millions of combinations of hardware devices, how is it actually possible to index all that hardware info without actually say doing something like what Google does with Street View and like going in say like measuring the required voltage signals or whatever is required by the hardware individually. So would that actually turn out to be feasible regardless of how like capable the AI becomes?
So yeah, so two variables comes into play here, right? One of them would be context window, and the second is just prompting. So like if you provide all this information in the prompt, it's already solved, right? So like let's say you have millions of context window, you can probably provide the entire info, entire spec of the hardware, the entire spec sheet, and then put that into the prompt, and that's solved. So like context window is the variable here. Does that answer your question? Yeah. That's what I'm getting into. It's a bit dystopian. My answer is a bit dystopian, but yeah, I'll get to that. So like, yeah, what are these three pictures, right? So these are three movements that are active right now. But the first one is effective accelerationism. So the entire concept of accelerationism is basically don't stop the progress of AI and completely accelerate and scale to AGI, ASI, and then see what happens, right? So they're optimistic that AI won't kill humans, AI won't do anything bad to us. So they're in the camp that AI will only do good to us, right? And the second one is effective altruism. So they're the ones who are morally and ethically thinking about it. Like they're thinking like, what if it replaces us? What if it does harm to us? Like Skynet in Terminator, basically. And this movement called Post AI, they're literally going like in front of OpenAI, Google and companies like that, and then holding up this poster and then saying, stop AI. Like they're like literally alarm bells. Like, they want to stop the entire thing. So these are the three movements in existence. And the question you asked, what would the new developers and the existing developers do? So yeah, this is my take. This is obviously opinionated, and this is my personal opinion. I think that if you're working with like CRUD apps and boilerplate code, you are already unfortunately replaced because the models can do that already. Pretty damn well, actually, as I showed you examples of how to do that. But if you have like niche skills, like if you know systems programming and how to do like exploit development in the case of like security, for LLM models to reach that level of ability would take some time, but obviously all of this is just a matter of time, right? So if you're like top percentile of a specific skill, you will survive. But otherwise, the job market is going to be pretty tough pretty soon because companies are already adopting AI agents to do like basically they're employing AI to do the job. Like AIs are employees now. Um, as like a fun gag, I will show you one thing. This is for fun, by the way. It doesn't mean anything. But so we hired Devika as an SWE intern at our company. She is unpaid, but she gets paid in GPU compute because she cannot use money. Yeah, that's, yeah. So obviously we are joking about this, but, and also we are using the model, of course, but a lot of companies already are using AI agents to automate a lot of jobs. Microsoft heavily uses a lot of AI agents to do that. So yeah, it's just a matter of time. The workforce or the amount of people who work at a company would be way less in the future. Like, that's completely sure about that. So like, yeah.
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, one thing
Yeah, we can.
for all the students, like for sure, like the job vacancies which you are seeing right now, for front-end developer, back-end developer, etc. If you are in a second year or third year, while you come out of your college, those type of jobs will not exist.
Yeah.
For sure. And today's the most invested companies are the one who are building AI agents to replace those type of jobs, right? So what you have to be prepared for is something that you have to discuss towards the end of this session. And
So,
then we were talking like this AI will be replacing call centers and all the call center jobs will be going soon. And there were people who are working on documentation. And so those type of jobs are going to replace. But before that, it is going to replace developer jobs.
Yeah, so like the thing is, the whole thing about AI is unpredictable because when AI was started, like neural networks and stuff like that, before ChatGPT and all this buzz, all of us said like creativity is something that is unique to humans. Like that was something that was reiterated all the time. Like, yeah, it can write essays, it can write poems. There is no way it can draw an art, right? That's what people said. And you know what's the funniest thing is Stable Diffusion came out before ChatGPT. So like art was automated before basically like language. So like I'm not talking about NLP, I'm talking about LLMs. But yeah, Stable Diffusion came out. Now Midjourney is like pretty good. I create logos with like DALI 3 and Midjourney. So like this is honestly it's pretty sad from a human standpoint. Like a lot of people are dependent on commissions on art and graphic design and all that stuff, but now AI models can do that. So like the same thing is going to happen to developers, to us. The same thing is going to happen. So like yeah, to actually stand out, you need to have niche skills. You need to be like in the top percentile of a specific skill. So like if you really skill up and then you're really good at like a specific niche thing. So like let's say you can write like buffer overflow exploits. You know how to buffer overflow exploit on like Linux, Mac OS, Unix machines, Windows, and stuff like that. And that's a really hard skill to train in, right? And let's say you're good at that. So you would have a couple of years ahead of others. I'm saying a couple of years instead of infinity because the AI model would eventually be able to do that as well. So like, yeah, the future is probably bleak, probably optimistic. I don't know. But with the scale that all of us are saying, it is pretty certain that most of the things will be automated. So like, let's see what happens here. Yes. Mm. Mm.
Yeah. Just there's one question that is coming from there.
I'll ask you a question.
As the model said, most of the white collar jobs are going to be out of job because of generative AI, and blue collar jobs only will remain.
Yeah.
My question is regarding, as a person engaged in literary writing, I would like to ask you on if a ChatGPT aided novelist writes 80% with the aid of ChatGPT and only 20% his personal contribution, and he is getting a Pulitzer Prize. Who will get it? The copyright. Whether the Pulitzer Prize is given to be given to the programmer or to the novelist. That is my question. 80% of the novel is contributed by ChatGPT.
Okay.
Only the novelist contribution is 20%. My question is, when he wins a Pulitzer Prize, who will win it? The programmer or the novelist?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So like that's yeah, again an ethical kind of question, right? So like what I do personally, so like I use LLMs to write code, right? I literally put the model that I'm using as the co-author. So like Mufeed VH and Claude 3 opens the model name would be the co-author because I'm crediting the LLM because the LLM wrote most of the code. So like again, I can probably hide that. I can lie that the documentation, the architecture wrote MD, I wrote that. I can claim that. No one would be able to verify that I did that, like any of that things. So this is an ethical thing. I can reveal that or I cannot, right? So like that's the same thing with art. A lot of artists popped up recently. Like, are they creating their own art or are they generating one with AI? Like, who knows, right? And then when people discover, like, oh wait, why does your art has 2 hands or like 6 fingers? Ah, he is using an LLM, right? Like an AI agent. It's like that's the thing. Like it's an ethical thing.
Just to add to that, Prem, last year there was a company that tried to file a patent with the USPTO, and one of the co-creators was an AI agent, and it's not a Pulitzer Prize, but the USPTO declined it. Right, you can't do that. So we will have rules like that.
Yeah, so since you asked about my personal opinion on it, I am on the human side. So like I certainly believe, I really believe that what humans create is more valuable than what our AI creates. Now, of course, this is like a philosophical copium. Like this does not mean anything. I'm just coping with the fact that AI is replacing us. But when someone shows me an art and then they genuinely claim that this was made by them instead of an AI, I don't care if the AI one is better than the human one. I would respect the human creation more. Now, that's just my personal ethical standpoint. Like, yeah, that's my.
Yeah, so I have a question. Like recently, I have searched something in ChatGPT, a simple one. Like I just searched for Kumar Nashal, right?
What did you search for?
Kumar Nashal.
Yeah.
So what is his novel? So actually, it gave me a wrong information.
Hmm.
Like people's for writing SQL queries, they rely on AI. So what happens is eventually they lose knowledge on what is a
Yes.
MySQL. So maybe after 5 years later, or for a fresher, so how will they make sure like the data the AI generated is right or wrong? Like I asked for a query, it gave me some SQL query. So how will I validate like it's right or wrong?
Yeah, so this problem in the AI space is called hallucination. So like this LLM would make things up, right? We don't know it's right or wrong. It can be wrong, it can be right. We would have to manually verify that. It's currently an unsolved problem, so it's not solved yet. So this specific part of the problem is called interpretability. So like Anthropic is on the forefront of that. So like interpretability of LLMs, right? The thing is, this whole thing is a black box. We don't know how LLMs or the transformer model or the reason why it works. Like the creators don't even know that. So in the paper, attention is all you need. The kind of like last one of the sentences like how it works is pure benevolence. It's like even the creators don't know why the model works, right? So interpretability in solving that, it essentially a way to why does it produce this token or why does it produce this? If we solve that, we would be able to kind of conclude like, is this LLM intelligent or not, right? Does it works like how humans think? Like this is a part of the problem. Like this is really hard to solve. Yeah. Vectors, yeah. Hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. So there is this thing called Markov chains. So like Markov chains is essentially like a statistical model of like what word comes next to another word, right? Transformer model is not like that, but the working is similar, right? So I'm not getting to the way how transformer model works, but I can tell you this is what happens. It's basically millions of matrix multiplications to find like a statistical probability of like what token comes next, right? So there are multiple layers in the transformer model. So like multi-head self-attention, that's the first one. There's two layers in that. ReLU activation then would go to the decoder model. That's like a mixed multi-step attention. Then it would go, it's essentially like, I'm not going to use a lot of words, but it essentially does matrix multiplication on a lot of numbers, and you would find like a probability of like after this word this would come next, right? So like let's say you're an LLM, now I'm going to ask you like who is the father of our nation, right? And then you would say Mahatma Gandhi. So like Mahatma, let's say Mahatma is a token and Gandhi is the next token. Yes, wouldn't say that. Yeah. So like it's essentially just obviously it lacks a lot of context. It's predicting like what the next word or like token, specifically token not word, token would be, right? So like is it intelligent? It has emergent properties, but we cannot necessarily conclude that it's intelligent like as humans are, right? But since like when we scale it to like billions of parameters, somehow intelligent properties do show up. Mm. Yeah, so like currently we're predicting the next token. In the future, this won't be the case. We'll probably end up with a new architecture, a new algorithm to do that. So like the transformer model, like doing millions and billions of matrix multiplication per second. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I have two questions.
Yeah.
Question one is, when can we expect Devika and VS Code? Uh, and
Yeah.
the second one is actually regarding the future of Devika itself, because you essentially created a tool that can build anything. And if we give it multimodal capabilities and maybe some more hardware to it,
Hmm.
uh, it could do things. You can make it code for hardware, then you can
Yeah.
literally make things work
Yeah.
as soon as it's imagined. Are you thinking of any such further versions for Devika? What's the plan?
So the Ender Devika project was actually a joke. So that's a really good segue. I will get to that. So like, yeah, how was Devika created, right? Good question. So basically, I was having some Ulundvada and Chaya from a Kudumbashree shop nearby. They produce like bang Ulundvada. Like I was just having some of that. And then one of my friends sent this video to me. So like, check this out. Like new agent drop, right? So I saw the videos, like super impressed by it. Like Devin, you can create software agents. The thing is like a lot of similar stuff existed in the past, like Auto GPT, Meta GPT, and all of them were like vaporware. Like it did not really work properly. So I was like super interested. How did they solve that? Then I saw that like the 10 members of Cognition AI, all of them are gold medal winners in informatics Olympiads, and they're like top rank on code forces and stuff like that. So like I was like they solved something, right? So like I was having some tea, and then for some random reason, I was like, oh, Devin, that comes from the word developer, right? And I was like, what Indian name would match that pattern? And I was like, Devesh, Devji, Devendran, like Devika was one of them. So I was like, yeah. Then I thought like I have a funny tweet. Um,
ഇത്രയും ഓപ്ഷൻ ഉണ്ടായിട്ട് ദേവിക ഇട്ടതിനകത്ത് വേറെ എന്തെങ്കിലും റീസൺ ഉണ്ടോ?
ഈ ചോദ്യം തന്നെ പലരും ചോദിച്ചേ ഇതെല്ലാം അലഗേഷൻസ് മാത്രം
മറ്റേ ആദ്യത്തെ കുഞ്ഞിന്
ചുമ്മാരി. So like yeah, I thought of this like really funny tweet. I was literally drinking tea and eating undoda when I tweeted this. I was like, Devin this, Devin that. Who wanna build Devika, the first ever open source AI software engineer? And mind you, this was a joke. Like I did not have any plans to create that. And people started commenting, people started DMing me like they want to join me on working on this. I expected laugh emojis and none of them laughed at my joke. And that's when I realized, okay, maybe I should pull this off. So I thought, you know what would be even funnier? If I actually make the thing. So like, it took me about 20 hours, I think. It was like very sloppy trash code, to be honest. I was just hackathon style, I made the thing. Because I thought it was like a good challenge to create something that has like some amount of near parity to Devin, right? It would be super impressive to create something like that. So like that's when I created Devika, and I released that, and it went out of hand. So like what happened was that basically ಇದು ಕೈನು ಹೋയി. It got out of hand. So now Devika is all over the news. Like people are random numbers call me, and then they will be like, I am from NDTV. Are you up for an interview? Like this is the calls that I'm getting recently. Like this is super overwhelming and also cool to see that it is getting this much coverage. The Indian government posted it. Like they did not contact me. They did not notify me. Someone sent it to me. Like this is the Indian government website, right? And I look at that and I was like, Mufeed VH created Devika. And I was like, fine. So like this is what happened. Like people wrote like multiple stuff. Tomorrow I have 2 interviews, like live news interviews, like Economic Times and yeah, NDTV. I don't know what's going on. Mother Bhumi posted it. So like yeah, it really got out of hand. At the moment, I think it was trending on GitHub for like 5 consecutive days, and yeah, it currently has 13.9K stars. And the funniest thing is like, I wrote this in 20 hours. The code was not good, but a lot of people chimed in. You can see that the total contributors now 29. A lot of people revamped the code, fixed my trash code. So like they fixed a lot of issues in that. So like yeah, this is currently in progress. It's obviously not stable yet, but it works. Like that's the state of Devika right now. So like yeah, so I will just show you like a sample demo of Devika. Of course, I have to show it, right? And one beautiful thing about like live demos is that it won't work. So like, so if it doesn't work, I will retry it. Then I will retry it again 3 times, and third times is the charm, right? If it doesn't work, we can just ignore that and then go to the next slide. So like, yeah. Um, I think Devika is already running. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the interface of Devika. As you know, I wrote like a dark theme, but someone came in and then fixed all my trash code and then changed the UI to light theme. I don't know why he did that. And I was like, you did all that work. I gave him right access to the repo, and I told him, you are now a maintainer. He was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, now I'm like, like, he made this UI, but I need dark theme, so I'm gonna message him like dark theme. Yeah, so like I'm not working on it right now, but when I get some time, obviously I will contribute to it. But yeah, I don't know. Let's create like a sample project, I guess. What do we create? Okay, let's maybe create like a simple game. So like let's say like a letter collecting game, right? So like letters would rain, and then you have to collect them, and then we can make the letters fire or something like that. So like yeah. So you create the project, and so there are multiple models supported. The Claude models are supported, Gemini models are supported, Grok models are supported, Mistral is supported, Ollama is supported. So like you can pretty much play with almost every existing LLMs. You can use that with Devika. I would recommend you to use Claude since that's the better performance. And if you use Claude 3 Opus, it would cost you $5 per a single project. So it's expensive. So we can use Haiku, which is also a good model. Yeah, so we can use that. And we can choose the search engine. So it can be Bing, Google, or DuckDuckGo. So we can use Bing here. So we can prompt. Yeah. Wait. Let's do connect them. Use the word fire. So like yeah, the prompt is basically to create a game to collect letters that fall from the sky, and the player has to collect them. And we ask the model to use the word fire for the lettering. So fingers crossed, If it doesn't work, you did not see that, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna send it. Does it respond? Oh, it works. Okay. So we create like a, yeah, a step-by-step way how to create that, and then you would start to search the web on how to all this out. Yeah, it's searching the browser right now. What is it searching? Yeah, so it's searching the Pygame documentation on how to do certain things. So you will learn from all these documentations on how to do this stuff. Yeah, okay, it's writing the code right now. So he created the requirements.txt. Yeah, it says the code is done. Wait, that was like super fast. So yeah, let's see if it works or not. Like, well, I don't know what. Wait, if it works, like that's like super fast, to be honest. Wait, no way. Yeah, so yeah, it created the game. So like that's what we asked for. So as you can see, we can collect the word. So we asked Faya to be for the letter train. So yeah, just like this, you can create web apps, mobile apps, games. Uh, I am sorry for creating this. My intention was not to replace people. This was a joke, but it somehow got really powerful. I did not intend that, but like, yeah, I am sorry, but at the same time, this is pretty cool, right? So like, yeah, this is the game. We're collecting fire, so like we can create mobile apps and stuff like that. So yeah, first try it works, the demo works, the browser instance is there. This is a terminal emulator, so it would show like writing code, executing commands and stuff like that. We can ask you to update as well. So like, let's say I will ask you to basically make the raining slow, so we can just ask. Yeah, so it's saying that it will update the code to do that. Let's see if it does. Yeah, it's updating the code right now, and the agent completed the task. So like we can see if it works or not. See, now it's slow. So like we can ask it to update. So like if you're developing like a mobile application or something, you can like ask it again, like, okay, change that to light theme, change that to dark theme, change that to light theme. So like essentially like a junior developer, let's just say, something like that, something like that. So like, yeah, that's the reason why we hired Devika to be an SWE unpaid intern at Stition. She does stuff like this. So yeah, that's the way Devika works. And what else?
Can we connect a GitHub report to that and ask them to?
Yes. Yeah, so that feature is currently unstable, but you can provide a GitHub repo link in the prompt, and would clone that repo and then edit the code, update the code, fix bugs and stuff like that. So like, yeah.
As of now, where does this code base get stored? Like in the same directory of Devika or?
Yeah. So in the same directory, it's completely local. So there's a sandbox. It is not implemented yet because, like, what if the LLM creates something that is like so dangerous? If you run it on your system, your system would wipe or something like that. So like, yeah, there's a sandbox. It would run inside a Docker. So like, it's safe to run the code. So like, yeah.
So you have seen the demo, right? So everyone can be a intern coder, right? You can develop smaller things for sure, small games, small apps using Devika, right? Even you just need to know like what do you want to build. So any questions?
A while ago, you just mentioned that generative AI is a black box. I would like to ask you on the emergent behavior and how you connect with quantum physics.
How you connect with?
Quantum physics. You also mentioned about quantum.
Quantum physics. Okay. Yeah.
How you connect with the quantum entanglement and quantum superposition with that of the emergent behavior. You said it is a black box.
Yeah.
Phenomena by using quantum physics.
Yeah, so both of the problem are kind of not really adjacent. So with like quantum entanglement and stuff like that, there is an algorithm called Shor's algorithm. So this algorithm is theoretical, but you can use this to like break cryptography, for example, using quantum computing, right? Now all of this is completely theoretical. Quantum computers like entirely, there are only a few use cases at the moment, but in the future probably would be able to break like RSA, cryptography. That would be like super dangerous, by the way, if it happens. But at the moment, it's completely theoretical. There is no substantial evidence that it can do that. So already it's just like post-quantum cryptography and stuff like that. But those fields are not really adjacent, right? So the interpretability problem of like black box LLMs, that's just a matter of time you would be able to find why these emergent properties exist, right? The breakthrough lies in statistics and probability, right? So like there's a thing called like large number theory, right? So like when you flip a coin, like a fair coin flip, like tens and millions of times, there is an emergent pattern. Like usually it comes in like a bell curve, for example. Like why does the bell curve happens, right? All of this thing lies in the way how probability and statistics work in the real world. Now that itself is a black box, right? So like, yeah, it's a problem with statistics and probability, not necessarily that we can solve with quantum computing, but we can probably utilize the compute power that it has to solve these problems. So like, yeah, that's possible. So like, yeah, so the next section is, yeah.
To start over again, like to build Devika from zero level knowledge, what would be your path? Like, what would you start?
Like if I'm a beginner and then I'm trying to write Devika, right? Yeah. That would be super hard, to be completely honest, because I have been doing coding and all this stuff since I was 13 years old, since when I was in 8th grade. So now I'm 21. So for all this time, I would say like the accumulated knowledge and experience that I had definitely helped in creating Devika. But if I was a beginner, it would take me a lot of time. I would say like depending on how interested you are, how much time you actually put into it. So like there's UI into it, there's AI elements. I'm using like BERT models and keyword extraction and stuff like that. All of these are kind of in depth in the case of like AI. So like, yeah, as a beginner, it would be really super hard. Yeah.
There are a lot of key buzzwords like
Yeah.
there is transformers as the
Mm.
crew AI. So
Mm.
if you want to arrange them in a order,
Mm.
from base to top, how would you arrange? What to learn first and what to progress after?
Yeah, that truly depends on which buzzword that I use, right? So like all buzzwords has different roots. So like in the case of AI and stuff like that, at the moment you can, there's a person called Andre Karpathy. He was a researcher at OpenAI. Currently he quit, but I'll just show you right now. That's a really good resource. So yeah, there is a AI researcher named Andre Karpathy. He makes really good educative videos on how to write GPT from scratch, how does it work, the mathematics behind it. So like there is a certain level of like, let's say you're trying to write GPT from scratch, right? You need to know basic calculus, you need to know linear algebra, probability statistics and all that stuff, and obviously coding. Coding is an important part of it. So yeah, all these buzzwords has different roots. There is no necessarily like you start with this, you end with that, right? So like I would recommend him to like learn how GPT works and stuff like that. So like, yeah, it's going to take a lot of time to really catch up with all of this stuff. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Somewhat, but I was kind of like a say if you want to build this Devika, then like what was your thought process? Like you are going to build this thing, so
Mm.
process at that point of time. How are you going to start? How are you planning things?
So it's mostly just like with experience you kind of get good at like writing. You don't really have to like write to-do lists or whatever stuff like that. You can just start writing this and see what happens. So like that's how I created Devika. It was like a hackathon style. I did not write project documentation. I did not write any to-do list, nothing like that. I just started writing Python scripts on for each agents. So like there's a planning agent, there's a coding agent, there's a researcher agent. Research agent search the web, use the browser and stuff like that. So like I would write each Python script, then at the end I would just stitch it together to a web app essentially, and then create a UI that would utilize the API and stuff like that. So like it took about 20 hours, spanning 3 days. I did not necessarily plan things. I just see what happens, like writing stuff, and the end result was like really good, right? So like yeah, and also I have experience working with AI agents. I have been working with AI agents for a long time. Our main product at Stition is an AI agent. I will show what that is soon. So like yeah, I have previous experience with that. So I think that's the reason why I can do it fast, right? So if I was doing for the first time, obviously it would take a long time. So like I've been doing this for so long that like some things turns into like muscle memory, right? Stuff like that. No, so like there are multiple frameworks called LangChain, Llama Index, and stuff like that. I personally believe all of these are bought, and I do not use that. So everything in Devika is written from scratch. Everything, yeah. Yes, everything from scratch. Yeah. So like yeah, how powerful can it get, right? So Code Sentry is the AI agent that Astition, our team, is working on. We have been working on this since December of last year. So it's an AI agent that can find and exploit security vulnerabilities. So like it automatically, without human intervention, it can read a code base, find security loopholes, exploit them, and write a report. So it's essentially automating like a fleet of security engineers, right? So recently we had a breakthrough, and the breakthrough is that it found a zero-day in Google. It found a loophole in Google, and then we reported it, responsibly disclosed the loophole, and we are waiting for the bounty essentially. So they pay a bounty for a vulnerability found, right? So like we are expecting probably like $5,000 for that. So we did not do any work. Like it found, the AI agent found the work, right? So like yeah, when a CVE is issued, yeah. Yes. So internally we kind of call it, for funny reasons, we call it the money making machine. So now we run it on like a multiple bug bounty programs and just waiting what happens. Yeah, and it's also good marketing for our product, right? So like, yeah. So essentially found that, so when a CVE is published, it would be the first ever CVE to be assigned, as far as we know, to a non-human entity. It's pretty dystopian, but yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the end of the talk. And I want to, since there are a lot of students here, you can go to liminal.space/careers. And if you solve this code breaking problem, we will hire you, no questions asked. So you solve this and you're hired. So like, yeah, you can go to this website and do that. If you want to work at Stition in our core team. Yeah. So like, yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask. That's the end of the talk. Yeah.
Okay. So there was one question from Amal Shehu, that is, he was asking on the starting we saw the SWE agent developed by the Princeton NLP,
Yeah.
right? So what does Devika get distinguished from that SWE agent?
So SW agent from Princeton, I think they released it yesterday, I think. And it's really good, really impressive. They scored a really high score on the SW bench. So Devika is currently being scored on the same benchmark. We are expecting to beat Devin or reach the same score by within 2 months. So like at the moment it's pretty good. Uh, we are we will only release it after beating Devin. So like yeah.
Okay, great, great.
Yeah.
And one another question that everyone is asking, people came here seeing two speakers. We only see one. What is the other man with the hat?
Now Vivek, all
Who
right.
is the second speaker?
ശരിയാണല്ലോ.
We get two speakers, right? So where is the second speaker? Vivek.
I
We are
literally
waiting for
told
you.
him that I had a throat infection and my voice is gone. Like I sound like Voldemort, but this is not my real voice. I told him like you have to contribute a lot because I cannot speak.
So when Mufeed came here, he was telling like I am having throat problem. So Vivek, you should be taking the more of the session. Then we are not seeing Vivek. Yeah. People are asking for you. That is your first question. That is we started the interactive Q&A. The first question is, where is Vivek? Where is our second speaker?
So so basically Mufeed was carrying the session and I was sitting at the back and then people are just talking. So I was just talking with people about like they had questions about Devika, they had questions about how agents are built.
It's creating trouble for your session.
എനിക്കെതിരെ mic. Hmm? Yeah, I mean, I kept it short, but that was the previous section. I didn't really want to get into, get too dystopian. But essentially, yeah, the point still stands. Like what I said about like replacing developers and stuff like that. I truly believe like that is bound to happen. And how we should deal with that is we don't know how to deal with that, right? So like when it comes up, obviously there will be like already students are like really worried when Devin released, right? Actually, when I released Devika, a lot of students like literally DM'd me about like being depressed, and they told me like, why are you creating this tech? Like our jobs are gone. And I was like, dude, I made this when I was eating urundoda. Like this was a joke, but I did not intend like that's not my intention. I don't want humans to be replaced. I think, as I said before, I think human creations have a special value. Of course, that's philosophical copium. It does not mean anything. But yeah, uh, I said that, and a lot of people DM'd me. It is a really big problem. A lot of students said, like even people came to me and said, why are you making this thing? Like people can make games with this stuff. Like I literally in seconds we made a game, right? That's scary, but it's also cool to see, right? Yeah.
Basically, we thought that it's easier to automate the boring stuff like basically plumbing or like getting coordinates, but in reality, it's just software development being automated. So yeah, have you seen an AI climbing a coconut tree? No, right? So yeah, that's the move.
So like yeah, we can start a farm nearby, or my plan is to start a cat cafe. That's my retirement plan. My retirement plan is to start a cat cafe. So like yeah, we can all distribute work. People can drive trucks or farm. AI cats.
AI-powered cats. So who need cats?
At that point, I'm exiting it. Yeah. So like, who knows what's coming, right? So like, yeah, we can. The only thing that we can do is like wait and see what happens, and deal with that. So like, as long as you skill up and you're like a really niche top percentile of a specific skill set, you would survive for a long time. But this long time obviously is limited. The AI will keep like yeah. So GPT-5 when that drops, things would happen. So like yeah, yeah.
This question.
Sauber got dropping soon.
Firstly, I'd like to congratulate the two of you. Even with AI, nobody, he's 21 years old, I don't know how old he is, it's extremely difficult, even with these tools, to make something like Devika. You need lot of background knowledge. Let me tell you, that I wrote my first program in Fortran and Pascal before most of you were born. I'm sure. That in 1986, I was in IIT Madras. They had a mainframe computer. We had to go at 2 o'clock in the night and write programs because we were booked and all. Okay.
Yeah.
And I love programming. And the first languages are those. Last one I learned was in 2020, Node.js. Okay, I'm pretty old. Okay, I thought I loved programming, but after AI came up, ChatGPT came up, I realized that actually what I love is not programming. What I love is making algorithms, solving.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so let me also tell you very shortly what I did. The 3 days of long holidays during Republic Day, like he said, I'm not as brilliant as he is. I'm much older, I'm 31 years old. So, but I wrote a program. I learned more. Don't just I knew. I did not know Flutter. Flutter is for app development, no? With the data, it's a platform to write a mobile application. I want to write a mobile application which is a PDF reader. Okay, when I drive in the car 35 minutes now, I want to hear a book. I want to read books, hearing it. So I thought, let me make it. So I went to ChatGPT 4. I said that I know a little bit of Node.js. I don't know Flutter, but I'll develop an application like this. Then slowly I went on. I had no documented like you said. I said that firstly I want to it work. So let me hardcode some text and I'll call as a API. I'll call that from the backend, and you should talk it out. So he said, oh, you can use Flutter TTS text,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. And I ended up making an application that works. That works. Okay, I'm 71 years old. Okay, I don't have to write a program to make a living. In my office, they would appreciate if I start writing a program because they are not hired me for writing a program. But I love it. That's why I still nowadays with ChatGPT I don't write programs. I did not write a line of code, not even in Node.js. Everything was written by I had to debug. I had to do debugging.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can debug even in language we don't know. I debug. I know a little bit of Flutter also. Yeah.
So like that's a really good point. And I also find coding to be like a therapeutic, enjoyable activity. So like it's not like I offload everything to GPT. When it comes to like complex algorithms and stuff, obviously the model cannot do that. And I enjoy working on that. So like sometimes I do not use cursor or like LLMs to do that because I find that to be enjoyable. Like I genuinely enjoy writing code, right? So like obviously one aspect that he mentioned is like super important. If you're non-technical, let's say you're a kid, right? You're a kid, you don't know how to code, and the kid wants to create a game. He or she can use ChatGPT to create the game. One example that I can show you recently what happened.
And just before that, one more question. Sri Lakshmi is asking, who designed the avatar of Devika?
I did, but I asked DALI 3. I gave it a simple prompt. I did not describe like in intricate details what it is. I think I said a 3D memoji avatar of an Indian female programmer holding a floating orb or something like that. And that's the logo created. GPT-3 created it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, are you planning to change the name of Devika? There were many bloggers who were telling like,
DEI ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ ആണോ എന്താ സംഭവം
ഒരുപാട് ബ്ലോഗേഴ്സ് പറയുന്നത്
Yeah, yeah.
പേരിടുന്ന സമയത്ത് കുറച്ചുകൂടിയൊക്കെ ബെറ്റർ ആയിട്ട് പേരിടുന്നത്.
Like as I said, this project, the entire project was a joke. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Postman Eliasനെ അറിയാമെങ്കിൽ നമുക്കിപ്പോൾ ഹോപ്സ് കോച്ച് എന്ന പ്രോജക്റ്റ് ഉണ്ട്, which is actually the alternative for postman. So he named it as postwoman initially. He's also a Malayali. So he also works closely with him. So then later it got renamed as Hobbs Coach. So is there any plan? Yeah, he's taking the messages. Okay.
So relevant to what he said, someone in the Discord community of Project Devika posted this video. So like a little bit of presentation with my wife's voice. She loves Devika, right? So his wife is non-technical, but she is enjoying creating video games with Devika. So like that's really wholesome to see. So like she narrated a video like on basically creating the game herself. So like she created this game using Devika. She does not know how to code. She does not know how to create games, but she used Devika to create the game. Like that's super wholesome to see. Wholesome for a non-technical person, but for a technical person, that's a different side. But yeah, yeah. So like yeah. Any more questions?
So last 5 minutes. Yeah.
So I want to share a personal experience which I had. Me and my friend, we were trying to create a Indian version of ChatGPT, which
Yeah.
common people. The 90% of the Indians, they still don't have access to ChatGPT. One, the language restriction. Second one is, so we were planning to like create a simple application which anyone can understand.
Yeah.
We couldn't lift the hammer. Whatever we were trying to do, we couldn't lift the hammer.
Yeah.
I knew that it can be lifted. So what we were trying to do was like we were trying to give, already AI is there, okay, but how is it going to impact the society? How is it going to improve the community that we are in? So that is what we were planning. But because of many restrictions and limitations, we couldn't move forward. But with the, especially with the name Devika, okay,
Yeah.
cases. Like first try to get past the language barrier. Like if you have this, like how can you get it to the common people? Like without the knowledge of technology, how can they use the application? What can they bring forth from using?
Mm.
We were planning to do, but you can do it better.
I mean, yeah. So Ola, you know about Kritrim, right? Kritrim model from Ola. Yeah, they're trying to solve that, like Indian languages, stuff like that. And Claude actually already has pretty good Malayalam support. Yeah, yeah. We are thinking about that. There are organizations. Do you know about Swadandra Malayalam Computing, SMC? Yeah. It's in the talks. Like we're thinking about like Malayalam focused LLMs or stuff like that. So like yeah, Kritrim by Ola is doing that. They're trying to solve that. Like Indic languages, how Indians can use the models better and stuff like that. So like yeah, it's in the works probably. And some of us, one of us probably would be able to do better. Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions? Divshan, Mike. Mike ആരുടെയിലായിരുന്നു? Hold on. ചേട്ടാ ഈ മൈക്കല്ലേ ഓഡിയൻസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തോണ്ടിരുന്നത്? ആ മൈക്ക് അവിടെ ചോദിച്ചു.
I would like to ask on the philosophy, ChatGPT, philosophy.
Hello.
Their human thought is automated. It is like a dystopian, scary scenario. Because it is predicted that by 2040, a algorithm will win physics Nobel Prize, and the algorithm will win Cannes Film Festival Best Actor Award. A robot.
Yeah.
Dystopian. What is your take on it? The philosophy of human automation of complete thought process.
Yeah, so I have two takes on that, right? So my first take is that one is optimistic and the second one is pessimistic. The first one is that AI would be able to solve cancer in the future, right? That would be good. So like there's a model called AlphaFold by DeepMind. They're solving protein folding. So like for a century, we were only able to solve protein folding for like 10 protein patterns, but DeepMind's AlphaFold were able to solve that in like a few hours, essentially. The model training took some time, but they were able to solve it. Now that can lead to solving cancer and problems like that. But that's one side of it, right? We can solve cancer, we can solve a lot of diseases like that. That's good. But when it comes to like replacing humans, like in actors and stuff like that, obviously I don't like that. I don't like to see that. But I have no control over it, right? No one has control over it, to be honest. Like, let's say the Indian government regulates the creation of AI models, right? Then China would do it, then Russia would do it. US does it, China would do it. Like, uh, it's obvious that this would happen. Someone would do it, right? It's just a matter of time, a matter of time. So like, yeah, we can just wait for to see what happens. So, yeah. Any more questions? Done.
So it's already 7 and we'll be taking more questions offline. Mufeed will be available, I think. How long will you be available here? Until 2 a.m. Normally after my opportunity speaker will stay back until 2 a.m. and then you can stay back and ask questions. So the
Yeah.
last question, last question.
Yeah, last question, yeah.
A new update in Devika, like anything in near future?
Yes. So there is a new agent coming soon to Devika, which can basically in real time it can use the browser, right? It can log into Twitter, tweet something, create an account on Reddit, post something, and then autonomously do all of that. So probably log into lead code. When Devika gets bored, automatically solve the lead code and stuff like that. So like yeah, we are trying to do browser agent, so it can automatically use the browser to do all this. Yeah. It can like for example, it can create an account on Upwork and then do freelance work, for example. Yeah. Yep, in the plans, like probably will do it.
Okay. So how was the session? How was the session? നല്ല രസമുണ്ടായിരുന്നല്ലേ? So one question that was asked, like what is the future for the students, right? Like you have seen, like those who have seen the tech bites, you have seen like an initiative that is happening. What was it? building things in a shorter time. Because right now people are becoming more and more productive, right? We are becoming more productive and capable of building a lot of things. So understanding and identifying the hello, can you hear me? No? Break. ആ വീഡിയോ ഒന്ന് ഇടാവോ? നിന്റെ അതൊന്ന് ഓഫ് ചെയ്ത് വെക്കാം. ജസ്റ്റ് ഒന്ന് അതിനൊരു പ്രയോറിറ്റി ഉണ്ട്. Hello, is it better? Yeah, he is the problem. Okay, so the thing is, we are heading towards an unprecedented time, like uncertainty is ahead. So we are seeing like universities are coming up with 4-year engineering on AI, right? You are seeing like new AI courses are getting started for engineering. 4 years, there is a curriculum is going to be created, which is going to be stable, where you will be writing examinations from memory, staying in the classroom for attendance, and studying just the day before the examination to pass in the examinations, right? And so you have seen, yeah, just see.
This is Hardeep, and he's a landlord? What the fuck do you do again?
I run hacker houses around the world for young college kids to work on their ideas full time.
So, Hardeep runs this thing called the Residency, which he's building alongside with Sam Altman. And he has 6 hacker houses in 3 different countries. 3 in SF, 1 in Boston, 1 in India, and 1 in Germany. And a bunch of young, ambitious college students live there for 3 to 4 months, building stuff like startups, nonprofits, or some groundbreaking research idea. What is the goal at the end of the 3-4 months?
Goal is to have community and to be able to have actual progress on your idea.
Yo, so if you want to take a gap semester from college to build out your idea and live at one of Hardeep's hacker houses, drop a comment below and they'll hit you up.
So this is the new trend that is happening. There are hacker houses that are coming in. Like in Newland also, we are planning for having hacker. We were having hacker houses, right? People were staying here and working together on that. It is finding the similar interest people coming together. For example, Mufeed, like just after +2, that is, he started building this thing, and today you are listening to him, right? Where the world is reckoning on him, telling like Devika, that is, we have an Indian alternative for it, Devin. So I'm not against degrees or this thing. That is, all those things are required. You are good at, you are the best learners from your ancestors, because you learn on the day before examination and score good marks. You watch videos in 2x speed and understand everything. So you are the fastest learners in the history of humans. So, and you do not need all those time to learn these things. So you should utilize your time when there is no examination to find similar interest people, build and ship things together. You have to find the problems that is around, identify the problems, and it just need 20 hours for him to build Devika, right? You have to sharpen your skills up on the new tools and technologies that are coming. You should be aware of the things that is happening around. Take it and you will find new problems that is becoming obvious for people, and try to solve those problems. So the problems that you are going to work after your colleges might not be existing today. So have to look out for problems which you can work out, find similar interest people, and start building together. And of course, right now, not knowing programming, basic foundation of programming is, of course, that is, you should know and you should learn. The engineering degree or any other degree should teach them the foundation stronger, make it stronger, but they should have a free space. That is, there is one person here looking for curriculum. That is, I just want to mention, like, there should be a free space for the students that help them to explore what is outside the bundle of syllabus, because most of the things the student need today is not in that bundle, and you cannot put in that bundle, because by the time you actually plan and bring that into the syllabus, the things keep on changing. So the curriculum has to be revised in a way like there should be something that helps them learn the foundation stronger. At the same time, there should be free space where they can choose from, and then those things should keep on changing based on whatever changes happening around the world. And I really appreciate Mufeed's despite of his thought problem or like his busy schedules. He was supposed to be in Dubai, I think, and he cancelled. He replanned his entire trip to be here to take this session, and I really appreciate Movid and Vivek for taking the time out for that. So he was there in Newland, helping students out in cybersecurity industry was there. And you have a community called Papers We Lovers, right? Research community. So can you just mention about that? Is it active?
Yeah, so basically, there's a lot of research papers coming out, mostly AI and a lot of other research papers. And you can also bring papers that you like. Basically, it's a community where people get together and then discuss papers. And then if you're interested, you can go through the implementation. And ideally, you could find peers who would like to work on different research papers and maybe publish one. So that's the gist of the community, and if you're interested, you can just reach out. I think yeah, Muran has a interest group which deals with this stuff. So yeah, we also have a community for Rust. So yeah, if you've heard about it, just please.
I just have Vivek's name saved as Vivek Rust. Okay. So the thing is, you have to be terrific explorers. You have to be looking into what is happening outside and keep updating on those things. It is not like going in depth into each and everything that comes there, but knowing that these type of things are there, and then deciding where you want to be and finding the similar interest people and bringing to that affinity space, coming towards that people of similar interest is very important. And in New Learn, that is what actually these people were asking is like, can we have a project? Like, it do not need to be 100% written by Devika. That is what actually they were planning, is to have a project that swipe left and swipe right for finding similar interest people to build a career. Okay. So for example, I'm interested in AI, or I am interested in blockchain or this thing, then I can see like the learning circles or the meetups that is happening in the location around which I am, so that those things get discoverable. Sign up. Sign up but they started. Is Mohammed there? So he started building it. So we want it to be completed using Devika. And then what are things that we plan is like, we will have a GitHub repo. We will have all the tasks added as issues there. And we expect like Devika will be the best resource who could work on the Rust and complete it. Okay, sure. How long will you think like it will take for us to complete that project and deploy it?
So yeah, all of this like performance truly depends on the base model that you're using. So I would recommend you to use the Claude 3 family of models, and I'm pretty sure you can achieve this task. Like, you can create apps, the complexity of like a swiping database and stuff like that, as these are like crude apps, right? Claude 3 can do that. So I'm pretty confident with the current version of Devika, you can actually create this app. Yeah. And also, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. The same doctor that told me yesterday that you should probably reschedule this session. So when I go tomorrow and then I talk to him like, nallodam kekum, basically. So like, so yeah, thank you so much for listening. I don't know, maybe some things that I said may not have made sense because I'm talking like, so like, yeah, thank you so much for listening. I really wanted to say that because yeah, I took a lot of effort to do this.
Yeah. So let's officially end the session and let's welcome the Faya Potati committee. that is when we were thinking about the topic for this month, because we have been doing backend, ONDC, ONS, all those open networks recently, and then we saw that the team has started building Devika. So we just thought like there should be no other topic this time it should be Devika. And the Fire Pottery committee who worked, we had that it is just like 3 days or 5 days we decided on the topic, right? And yeah. So Arjun and Divya was the team. Yeah. And then Divya was very specific that she wanted to give the gift to Vivek. Yeah, Vivek. Yeah. Thank you so much. So the thing is, when we were just announced that Devika is the topic, immediately in another hour, the ticket got sold off right 1:30 or something. Like we always limit to 40 audience. For the past 10 years, Fire Pottery has been happening from 2013 till date. That is, we always limited by 60 maximum. But this time they were asking like, what should we do? We just thought like, let people come. So, and thank you so much for accommodating all those issues, like spacing issues was there, but it is all about coming together and finding people of similar interest and networking is the key of Fire Pottery. So for the past 10 years, every month, first Wednesdays, we used to meet on different topics, and even after that session, people come together and build smaller communities who are learning circles who can come forward and learn together. So that is how even MuLearn has happened. MuLearn is just like smaller people, a smaller set of people coming together and learning together. Finding the right partners who could help you reach your goal. Okay. So after the session, it is mostly networking. That is, you can feel free to stay back, and those who want to leave also can leave. But we have to excuse Mufeed. I think that is, he has to take a voice test, but you will be the one who will be speaking after the Vivek. So let's have a photo together with the speaker to conclude. Okay. How will we take the photo? Prujun, photographer official, come on. Vaco Pics is the media partner, yeah? Vaco, this is Prujun Vaco, who is our MuLearn's official photographer. We call him Nischal. Yeah. Yeah. ഇവിടേക്ക് നിന്നാൽ മതി ഫോട്ടോ അപ്പോൾ പിന്നെ പൃജുന്റെ സ്കില്ല് തെളിയിക്കാനുള്ള അവസരമാണ് ലൈവ് കട്ട് ചെയ്തോളൂ കേട്ടോ അപ്പൊ പൃജുന്റെ സ്കില്ലാണ് മുഴുവൻ ആൾക്കാരുടെ ഫേസ് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് വരണം ബാക്കിലുള്ളവരെ എഴുന്നേറ്റ് വെക്കാനായിട്ടാണ് പൃജു പറയുന്നത്